It is Medusa, maybe your favorite hostess with the mostest. That's right. I said it. That might be my new catchphrase. Don't hate. I see Jensen hating. Don't hate. So we want to
Mhm.
welcome you back to another week of the Planet Podcast. And I'm thrilled to be back with you guys. I missed you guys last time due to some technical difficulties. I couldn't be here. So the Fallen Marvel stepped in and hosted. But this week I am back and we are ready to have another great show for you guys. And I have my usual suspects here with me. So, Jensen, why don't you go ahead? And, I'm sorry, Cassio Logic, why don't you go ahead and start the
Hmm.
introductions alphabetical?
Okay, cool. Um, what's up, everybody? This is Cassio with Cassio Logic. And once again, here at EJOBN, I'm gonna do my best to give you everything I can, as much as I can, as long as I can. Appreciate y'all joining me. And yeah, that's all I got right now. I'm ready to talk about Justice League.
That was a
Hey,
dating tagline,
yeah,
ladies.
that was a good one. This is Jensen, man. I was gonna keep it simple. Justice League Snyder Cut. I'm in here. I took a nap before the movie came on when it first came out. I had to go to bed like 7:30 that morning.
I think I saw that because you was. I think I woke up and saw your thing. I was
Yeah,
like, wait a minute,
I
this
took a
dude
nap.
stayed up that
I
late.
took a nap and woke back up at like 1:55,
Oh my goodness.
and then
Okay.
watched it, and then I thought about what I
Yeah.
seen, then went to sleep again. But yeah, we
Okay.
here. Snyder Cut. NCAA tournament in the back. Go Hogs, man.
Mhm.
Hey, Rangers, Riders, and Magical Girls. It's your favorite Toku Terry once again. All right, so this week we're talking about the Snyder Cut, the most controversial movie of the early spring 2021. We will find out in the next 8 months if it's the most controversial movie of the year. I'm sure something will knock it out off its throne, be even
Mhm.
more controversial.
All right. Well, as everybody has said in their intros, except for me, we are going to be discussing Zack Snyder's Justice League. So it did drop last week on the 17th, day before my birthday. And this discussion literally is just Justice League, Justice League, Justice League. So as you guys know, we have talked at length on previous podcasts about
Mm-hmm.
the Justice League movie as a whole, like the old movie, when it was announced that Zack Snyder was going to be able to bring his dream to life and what that would entail, our speculations, our guesses of what would happen, who would be in it, if there was going to be any surprises, just everything. We have talked about, is 4 hours worth it? Is it needed? You know what I'm saying? And I'm
Mm-hmm.
not gonna lie, I have to admit, I watched the
Mhm.
Justice League movie today, and I am one of the ones who did say, why the F is this movie 4 goddamn hours? Okay. After watching it, it was worth
Mhm.
the time. I gotta give it.
Mhm.
So Cassio,
Yep.
I will give you a bow, you know what I'm saying, and a salute because it was worth it. So I would be remiss in my duty if I did not give you the first comment on, the reaction to it, since you the one I think who was more pro,
Yeah.
Zack Snyder cut than the rest of us. So why don't you go
I
ahead and let
was.
us know what you thought?
But
Boop, 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 boop. This discussion will contain spoilers of the movie. So
oh,
if you have not seen the Justice League, the Snyder cut yet, please do not watch this show because we're going to be spoiling it. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
okay,
Mm-hmm.
okay.
We'll spoil everything.
Um, look. I thought the movie was fantastic. I thought the film gave us exactly what it gave us what we should have gotten the first time around. Um, the 4 hours, right? Uh, the previous film that we got, we didn't really get any background story for Flash, for Cyborg. You know what I'm saying? For just a lot of the characters didn't feel whole. We're like just there with just like people wearing costumes and like, hi, I'm the Flash. I'm gonna go run really fast. And we didn't have like grounding. You know what I mean with these characters in this film gave us the grounding. It gave us the backstories. It implemented characters into the Justice League team that gave their powers and their presence significance. You know what I'm saying? Each person in the team had like a very like important role in the effort to stop Steppenwolf. And it's like one of Zack Snyder's best pieces of work, in my opinion. You know, and yeah, I'm gonna leave leave some for the other for
Okay.
the other folks to chime in on. But that's my initial thought. That's my initial reaction.
Okay. So again, we're gonna talk a little bit more. So we're just getting initial ones. So Jensen, why don't you give us yours?
Um, it was well worth the 4 hours and a couple minutes. You know, out the trailers had me seeing Black Suit Superman like really got me hyped. But I wish they would have made Steppenwolf look so much more different. I wish they would have made him look so much because he was just so ugly. He was so ugly, but whatever. He was other than that, just seeing what he had to do, like, man, can I come home? He was like, no, he still got like thousands more worlds to kill.
Oh, the disappointment on his face,
Oh my
like,
golly, man. But that's decided. If you read Decide and Dark Side, that's right up their alley, what they would say, you know. But everything else was just how everybody came together, seeing the Wonder Woman theme song, which is probably one of the best character theme songs of any movie I've ever seen. You know, just when they get ready to fight, you know, and just seeing how everybody came together. What Bruce did buying the bank, and you know, other little Easter eggs. I guess we'll just talk on a little bit later if everybody has their turn.
okay, all
All
right.
right.
Toku Terry, you up next.
Okay, well, in my opinion, this movie was really good. Well, not really good, just good. It was good, and a lot of people are putting it higher than it needs to be because of the disappointment of the 2017 movie. Because when all you've eaten is trash, a peanut butter and jelly sandwich is the greatest thing ever. But I do admit that a lot of the feedback that's coming for how great it is coming from battle boarders and debaters, which I run in those circles, so I understand why they're excited because this movie has a lot more clear cut beats. But oh my, it has a lot of Zack Snyder trademarks, which is really edgelordy material, and for some reason he puts fan service ahead of the actual plot. We will get into that in the spoiler section. This is initial thoughts, but I have some specific moments that I want to get into where he puts fan service ahead of the emotional content. We will get into that when we start talking about the movie in depth. So yeah, my opinion, it's good, but y'all need to calm that down. It's not the greatest thing ever. And no, we do not need to restore the Snyderverse. I do not want to watch a movie trilogy where Batman gets Lois Lane pregnant and Superman's just like, oh wow, I'm raising Batman's kid. That's pretty cool.
The world's
Okay.
not ready. The world's not ready for that one.
No one's ready for that. No one
no
wants
one's ready for
that,
that.
and I don't know why Zack Snyder thinks we want that.
Because it might be leading there.
So my thoughts was is I actually thought it was a really great film. I didn't think it was like a super masterpiece or anything like that, but I did think it was a great film. It even whether you compare it to the first one, or whether you let it, stand on its own, you know what I'm saying? If you've never seen the first one and you're just looking at this one, in all honesty, I kind of wish I never would have saw the first one because you realize that there were so many things that were done well in this movie that were not done in the first one. I think as everybody else pretty much mentioned, the story was more complete. You got individual movies and the overall Justice League movie in the same movie. You know what I'm saying? So they tried to correct the whole, with not everybody getting their whole origin movie because, the Flash doesn't have its own movie. Cyborg doesn't have its own movie, so you kind of got to learn them more in this movie than you had before the first time around. The fact that they actually showed the Manhunter was huge for me. I literally screamed when he was revealed. Like I was that excited. I enjoyed the fact that, which was one of my main concerns, Wonder Woman was like she was supposed to be. The Amazons were like they were supposed to be. And you got to see more of her, not just her strength, but like her decisiveness. Like,
dude,
we'll talk about that more, but we'll talk about that more in a second. But I just enjoyed the fact that she wasn't like background or made to be weaker. I mean, they put her, you know what I'm saying, like where she was supposed to be,
Where
and
she's
I
supposed to be the
appreciated
whole
that in
time.
this movie. Exactly, like the fact that she was able to kind of be toe to toe with Steppenwolf to a point. I was like, that's how it was supposed to be. You know what I'm saying? She shouldn't be getting flung around like she wasn't shit. You know what I'm saying? Like I didn't appreciate that. So the fact that they were able to do some damage a little bit to Steppenwolf before Superman was, you know, the first time around they faced him, I was like, that's what, you know, I was looking for. I also, for me, the 4 hours didn't even seem like 4 hours. And I was very surprised because you can feel a long ass movie. Okay.
Yep.
Long ass movie, you could feel it. But there was so much happening in this movie that I actually enjoyed. It didn't even, like, I looked up and I was like, oh shit, it's 5 o'clock. Well, I don't feel like going to the grocery store now, you know, that kind of thing. Like, I didn't, it kind of just zoomed by for me. I didn't have to take a break. I didn't have to pause. Like, it just, I wanted more. Like, as each chapter was going, I wanted to, you know, keep going and whatever. So I enjoyed the film for what it was. And I'm actually really glad I decided to go ahead and watch it because I wasn't sure if I was going to or not. But I'm glad I went ahead and did it because I was very satisfied with this movie in many ways that I was not the first one. So I definitely give it 2 thumbs up, and I haven't, you know, that's my whole thing. I really think it's a good movie. So with that, I guess we can go ahead and jump into some spoilers. So I guess, you know, one of the first things I want to ask all of you are, what were some of your favorite moments? What were some of the moments that you didn't like or that still didn't make sense with this one? And or what do you feel like they could have done better? So why don't we work in reverse? Because Toku, you said you had some things. So why don't you go first and let us know what did you like, but then what were the things where you were just like, nah,
Okay.
nah.
I will give this movie all the credit in the world. These fight scenes are freaking amazing. Like, I will be the first person to say Zack Snyder can film a fight scene. Yes, the slow-mo can get kind of excessive.
Slow-mo. Right.
Yeah.
Excessive, but sometimes it complements a really, really good shot. Yep. Also, I really like the visual design of some of the heroes' outfits. While I'm not a big fan of the heroes in darker color palettes, because it's the DC universe, and the DC universe has always been bright and colorful, it works for this movie's tone, where it feels like they're in the darker outfits because Hope is gone, and by the end of the movie, they're starting to switch to lighter colors because Hope is returning. It fits the theme. I will give it that. I did like more explanation on Steppenwolf's backstory. I mean, it is still completely inaccurate to the comics, and I'm pretty sure I heard Jack Kirby hit Mach 20 in his grave, but for the movie universe, it works. It makes him a more sympathetic villain, and because we've all been there. We've all been in a situation where we just wanted to go home and weren't able to. These are good points. These are all good things. Also, the way they finished off Steppenwolf was was a RPG tag team.
Man, look, man.
Now, I thought that. I was like, oh, y'all just gonna chop his shit and let his body
look,
they know
because they. I believe Wonder Woman was sitting in the cut because Steppenwolf was talking trash about the peoples.
Yes,
and he was talking trash. I believe she was sitting in the cut.
Yes,
I think something they was like, look, we're gonna throw Steppenwolf into the dimensional portal. We're gonna throw him in there regular. All right, set it up. Aquaman, throw him in there regular. And Wonder Woman was like, throw him in there regular. Shit, he finna lose his head real quick. Throw him in there regular. Hold on. Throw him in there regular.
I know she was like,
he about to leave his damn head.
After he can sit up here and talk shit about my mama. No, they going in there
dirty.
Thank you for mentioning mothers, because that brings me to my first complaint. The Martha and Lois Lane scene was, well, at the start, it's really touching. You're like, wow, this is a really good moment. I enjoy it. And then it's revealed that Martha Kent is actually Martian Manhunter in disguise, and it just completely ruins that sweet moment. You're like,
I don't think so.
I beg
to differ.
It does ruin the moment, because if it's actually Martha Kent, and it's these two women connecting over the death of their son, and they're connecting to their tragedy. But if it's Martian Manhunter, it's just Martian Manhunter manipulating Lois to get the heroes back together.
Well, they're gonna need to get back together some way.
But why can't it still not be genuine though? Why can't it not be both? Why does it have to be one or the other? Why can't the Manhunter care and recognize that she is the key to getting everybody back? Well, maybe not even, I don't even know about everybody, but she was the key to making sure Superman didn't kill everybody, basically.
Which
is
again,
what it was.
That is another thing that really, really bothers me when they pretend that the only reason Superman cares about humanity is because of Lois, when Superman was born and raised on, well, sorry, not born, but he was raised his entire life on Earth and thinks of himself as human. So it shouldn't just be this one thing that's keeping him from going crazy. He's a farm boy from Kansas who calls himself Clark whenever he thinks of himself instead of Kal-El. Why does Zack Snyder think that Superman is just one day away from just going, screw it, murder, murder, murder? I'm not even from here, murder. I don't know.
See,
sorry. Sorry. I went off on a tangent there. That's just my complaint about the whole Snyderverse and how they get Clark Kent completely wrong. But that's not about this movie. I'm focusing on this movie. To answer your question, if it's Martha Kent, then everything that she said about raising Clark during that scene, about loving Clark and raising Clark and her connection to Clark, and how that connection to Clark makes her understand Lois's pain, is legitimate. It is a honest bonding moment as they share the loss of a man they both loved. But if it's Martian Manhunter has never even met Clark in these movies. He hasn't had a scene with him. He hasn't met him. How could he have an emotional bond with someone he's never met? It undercuts the scene. It loses the emotional connection for fan service. And yes, I understand that he wanted to put Martian Manhunter in the movie somewhere besides at the very end, but there are other places to put him where it doesn't undercut what I feel could have been one of the biggest emotional beats of the movie.
Shock value, man. Nobody was expecting him to show right then and there.
Yeah,
that's all it was.
Yeah, I understand. Okay, shock value has its place, but again, I'm not saying this as a fan of DC. I'm saying this as a writer. As a writer, you don't cut the throat out of one of your emotional scenes just to surprise the fans. It'd be like
I understand what you're saying, actually.
Yeah, it'd be like if at the end of Lost in Translation, when Bill Murray is whispering into the woman's ear and then walks away, it'd be like if immediately afterward he runs back into the scene and goes, "Oh, by the way, I was just kidding, and I'm a secret agent," and then leaves.
I didn't watch the movie, so I can't.
Yeah,
I can't.
I haven't seen it.
So I don't know.
But we get your point. I totally understand what you're saying. I will admit, when I first saw it, I was kind of like, wait, why? Wait a second, wait. You know what I'm saying? It was one of those moments. You know what I mean? For me, and I hadn't totally went back and I guess done the the beats on why exactly Martian Manhunter had to do it that way.
Yeah, it doesn't.
So I can't.
There's a billion other ways he could have done it.
Yeah.
Well, I personally don't have no problem with how he did it, because I feel like that was a spot where, all right, this is where I'm finna just like, I know the movie's been going on for a while. This is where I'm finna just like wake everybody up right then and there. Of course, it was other scenes where he could have showed up. I mean, that's almost any movie where you could like, well, he could have did this better. They could have did this better. But I feel like that right there was like, okay, this is somebody we weren't expecting in a scene we was not really expecting anybody else to show up. We thought it was just going to be, a heartfelt moment, and then he walks out. And then on top of who he was at the end, it's like, wait, you was the general guy from Man of Steel, who I would.
Which means he has met Superman before.
Yeah.
If he's him from the Superman movie, he has met Superman before.
Yeah,
he met him. He met him in Man of Steel.
Yeah, but they were only conversations together with them arguing about what Superman should and shouldn't do.
But you were saying that he's never met him or may not know what he means. As we all know, Manhunter obviously he's an alien, but he's also an empath, right? He reads people's minds. reads
That's
people's
fair.
feelings. He can emanate a lot of things. So
Mm-hmm.
that's why I guess to me,
Yeah.
it's still genuine because I know he feels that because of he knows what Superman I'm one means to the world and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But with him embodying Martha, he also knows what Superman means to her and what he means to Lois. And I guess that's why I felt that didn't take away from it with him being the Manhunter. It made sense. You know what I'm saying? Whatever. And to me,
Mhm.
now obviously, if it wasn't the Manhunter and it was just Lois, it would be awesome. I mean, not Lois, Martha, it would be awesome too. I'm not saying that, but to put him in that moment to motivate, you know what I'm saying, motivate her because would Martha really have told Lois to go back to work? I doubt it. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? That the world needs her too. I doubt that Martha would, because Martha was still dealing with her own grief and losing the house
And
and
yeah, and to
all of
be
that. You
fair,
know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
the Kents
So
in these movies are kind of anti-helping people. They keep telling Clark like, no, 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 you gotta keep being secret, or Martha literally saying, hey, save the world or don't. You don't owe them a thing. You really don't have to do anything to the
we'll
world.
see, and that's another reason why maybe having Manhunter pose as Martha was the thing because it um, was the motivation that she needed to go out there. And if
Yeah. She
he
needed.
wouldn't have motivated her like that, she wouldn't have been out there when Superman was almost
Yeah.
about to kill Batman.
Yeah. That's
Yeah,
part of the puzzle piece, and it
yeah,
explains things a whole
which
lot
again
better than what they
goes
did in the
back to
previous
my
movie.
which again goes back to my point about Zack Snyder not getting the Kents. Like anyone named Kent, like what do I always say about Man of Steel? It's a great Superman movie, but it's a terrible Clark Kent movie.
I
Yeah.
ain't go. I can't argue that. I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
I
because
can't.
Yeah. I could never see Henry Cavill as like Clark Kent. It doesn't.
Nah.
I don't know. I
I
only
just
really see him as like
yeah.
Superman. It's just
Yeah.
yeah.
That's
That's me.
yeah, but
I felt
my other yeah.
no,
Hold on, I
I
had
I
one.
said
You
felt
go
though.
ahead.
I said feel. I feel what you're saying though. I said feel.
Yeah,
I feel what
yeah.
you're saying.
yeah,
Yeah,
I don't disagree with it. I was just saying I do think it still fit though. Is what
okay.
I was saying.
That is a fair interpretation, and I respect that interpretation. But I always interpreted it as just cutting the throat of that emotional scene for no real reason other than fan service. Speaking of fan service, and this one is, but you know how in the comics there was a reason for the black suit.
Mm-hmm.
It's helping to restore his solar reserves after the fight after they were nearly drained by Doomsday, and then the humans locked him in a tomb. Like, oh hey, this solar powered alien probably doesn't need sunlight anymore. Now that he's dead, we're just gonna put this away so he couldn't recharge, so his body couldn't recharge.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, in the movie, it's just there for fan service. And don't get me wrong, I'm a fan. I love fan service, but there's no narrative reason for it. He's just wearing a black suit because he wore a black suit in comics. Again, this is not me complaining about the fan service. I'm just saying I wish there was a narrative reason for it.
Yeah. I mean,
Well,
it's
when
pretty
you
much.
can't, but when he got woken up and he was when he let Martha and Lois know that he was woken up for a reason, but he doesn't know why. Isn't he still weak? Because we all see that
Yeah. Doesn't the
he
black
puts on the
suit
suit
like
and he flies into space and he super absorbs the sun.
yeah.
So if that's the purpose of the suit, then the suit's purpose
Yeah,
was in the movie.
I
no,
think
no,
that
no.
was just a scene just because him flying
Yeah,
onto
they
a
don't.
I
I
don't
think that
think
They
was
so
don't.
just.
because the way that
Yeah.
the cinematic way that he opened his arms and was like literally soaking up the sun. I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
that was more than fan service. I think that was him using the
Dramatic.
suit for its purpose.
Mm.
I don't
I
think
just look at it as
so.
dramatic. Just
Yeah, I feel like it was
dramatic.
Okay.
just dramatic and a callback to BVS because he did the same thing in BVS when he got hit by a nuke in his normal suit. It's just him just going into space and well, I can't even call it sun dipping because he doesn't dip into the sun like he does in comics. So just solar absorption is his way of refueling no matter what he's in because he did that in the normal suit as well. So we can't even say the black suit helps because there's no way to prove or disprove that without a direct statement, and because he's done it before in the normal suit.
This is like I put it like when Jordan came back in 45, just like Superman come back with the black. But
Yeah,
then
yeah, exactly.
eventually he's gonna go back to the red, the red and blue. Eventually, But I think this is just some like the same thing Jordan did. This like Jordan said
Yeah.
in the Last Dance, it just didn't feel right when he wore 45. He went back to 23. Same thing gonna be with Superman.
And now we get to the big thing that I really don't like. And this is more of a complaint with Zack Snyder trying to force the Kryptonians to be gods in every single DC movie. He's, you notice in a lot of Zack Snyder's Justice League, they keep implying a connection between the new gods and Kryptonians, like implying that their tech is compatible, implying that their tech is nearly the same, implying that they have that the two have a connection. And I'm like, no, don't do that. Don't. That is not something you want to do. Do not connect the new gods and the Kryptonians. That is not a good idea. They are two completely different things, and you can't just. I feel like he's trying to force this connection because he has this need to make. Ironically, despite not getting Superman, he keeps trying to make Superman and Batman what I've deemed the special, which is the one character that the whole thing revolves around and everyone else is superfluous. You see it a lot with Superman because like he's the one beating down Steppenwolf, where everybody else just kind of goes, "Yeah, get him, Clark." But you also see it with Batman because he's also the one that's always the smartest one who knows every single thing, despite the fact that as a human who didn't know magic existed until 2 weeks ago, he should be the most clueless person in the room, and yet he somehow seems to know every single more than the two people who are literally raised to know this stuff. How do you know more about magic and new gods than Wonder Woman, who is an Amazon who is trained to fight new gods, and Aquaman, who is the king of Atlantis, who part of his king training should have been, oh hey, this is Darkseid, we fought him a long time ago, blah 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 blah, and yet Batman's the one who's delivering all the what's the word?
The flashbacks?
Exposition. He's the one giving
I
all the
thought
exposition. Like
I
Wonder
thought
Woman.
you thought Wonder Woman. I thought
Wonder
No,
Wonder Woman
that
was
was
the
Wonder
one.
Woman.
Wonder
That was
Woman
Wonder
gives
Woman.
no Wonder Woman gives the explanation of who Darkseid is, but Batman's the one who's explaining. But Batman and Cyborg, usually Batman, but sometimes Cyborg, and it makes sense for Cyborg to know these things because he's fused with a mother box. So I don't begrudge him knowing this information. I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. He's fused with a mother box. How does Batman know so much about New God tech?
I must have missed where that came out at. I don't know what you're talking
I might
about.
have.
Honestly,
I might have.
I don't recall them comparing them to New God Tech. That might be foreshadowing it.
Yeah, they did. They do foreshadow that Kryptonian tech and New God tech are similar for some reason. They mention it and they foreshadow it, and I don't like them implying.
I mean, where'd they mention it though? That's what I'm saying.
I remember events. I don't remember the timestamp for the events, but when but they do imply a connection between Kryptonians and New Gods, and I'm like, I don't like that because you're just trying to make Superman more of the special. Like the reason why Darkseid is so scary is that New Gods are usually shown to be like the power scale goes New Gods, Kryptonians, everyone else. When you imply that Kryptonians and New Gods are like this, you're taking all the tension out because it's no longer, oh, this is Darkseid. He's this great grand ruler of an alien species we can just barely comprehend. To he's just another alien conqueror. Right. Like Mongol. Who?
Exactly. Yeah. Now people don't know about Mongol yet. Let's keep it like that.
Yeah. Let's only comic book nerds know about Mongol. When you take away the majesty and the mystique of the New Gods, like when you read Jack Kirby's New Gods, the New Gods don't feel like superheroes. They feel like proper gods, like proper deities. These things are not aliens. They're not aliens with superpowers. They're actual deities from a universe separated from ours that wouldn't even be bothering with Earth, but because Earth is just another mud ball for them, just one of thousands of billions of planets that knowingly or unknowingly worship them. But by some cruel twist of fate, Earth has the ALE. Whereas in Zack Snyder's Justice League, it doesn't feel like gods coming to Earth. Like, yes, they say, oh, he's a god, and all the old gods and all these armies had to combine, but it doesn't feel any different from a normal alien invasion. It's not presented any different from a normal alien invasion. It's just presented like they just present Darkseid as a really strong alien instead of as a proper deity. In the New 52, even Superman's like, oh, he's not an alien, he's an actual proper deity. And Wonder Woman's like, we don't have a choice here. We can't fight him head on. We need to get rid of him. We need to just get him back through the boom tube, slam it shut, and hope he never comes back. That is how Darkseid is presented in the comics, and that's the best way to present him. Not as a alien overlord, but as a living force, an embodiment of tyranny. You don't beat Darkseid physically by punching him in the face. You win a moral victory by stopping his plan, by convincing others that the will to fight, the will to rebel against him is the ultimate victory. That's why his ultimate enemies are Orion, literally the god of warriors and heroes, the god of war, and not wars and not war for war's sake, but just war against tyranny. And Mr. Miracle, who is the god of freedom, which again would be the antithesis of the god of tyranny. But in Zack Snyder's Justice League, he's not presented as a god of tyranny. He's presented as just a tyrant. And it sounds like the same thing, but there's a major difference. Yeah. He's still very intimidating. He still is really cool, but I'm saying there's a difference between being a really strong alien tyrant, as he's presented in Justice League, which again is why I don't like them connecting New God tech to Kryptonian tech, because connecting them to a mortal technology level diminishes the idea of the new gods. Like, remember how in both Post-Crisis and New 52, whenever somebody studies a mother box, they just stare at this thing and go, I have no idea how this thing works. Like, Lex Luthor, like the only person in the entire DCU who has ever managed to hack a mother box is Lex Luthor, and even he doesn't know how he did it.
Right.
Remember, the only time Lex was able to use a mother box was when he was being a good guy, and that's how mother boxes work. They judge you. They're partially spiritual. They judge your spiritual worthiness. If you're not spiritually worthy to use one, you can't use it. Lex was only able to use a mother box because he was trying to become the new Superman, and he was trying to use his knowledge and his intelligence, and his resources for good, which is why he was able to hack the mother box when he could never do so before.
So I think we have to remember, though, that these movies aren't going to be exactly like the comics, right? We all know that, right?
Yeah,
so they have to make changes for like people who don't read comics. They are going to make some changes. So I think we have to take some of this stuff with a grain of salt. Like,
that's fair.
Like when, and I keep bringing this up because now I can make a better comparison now that we have the Justice League movie. Just like when Thanos was introduced, from what I understand, listening to all of you and people's discussions on Facebook, okay, because I do pay attention, you know, Thanos' whole reason for wanting to take over the galaxy was to please Lady Death, right? This woman, this crazy person that he was in love with, who was hell bent on destruction and galactical domination, universal domination. They changed him. I'm gonna say this, and I know people are gonna hate me for it. They changed him to be like a space environmentalist. He was trying to save the galaxy by taking out half the population of the galaxy. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, and people kind of took that, and it did make him like what you said, Terry, it made him like a relatable, and in my opinion, he became an anti-hero more so than a villain, because he was literally trying to save the universe. But
yes, he was also crazy.
Right. But I'm just saying, like, in terms of, can you really look at him like a villain, because he was literally trying to save the universe from overpopulation. You can't really be, you know what I'm saying, like an ultra villain that you're trying to save the universe kind of thing. But they changed his character for, I guess, movie reasons, theatrical reasons people would actually want to go, I guess, see the movie. I don't know, or creative, whatever. So I feel like we have to take some of this with a grain of salt, because there are people like me who haven't read the comics. We don't know about all of that. You know what I'm saying? And whatever. So it's like,
Fair,
can you
fair.
really be upset that that's what they did, knowing that they're going to take liberties with some of these movies?
That's a
In
fair
terms of
point,
that?
but
Yeah.
that's a fair point. But if I may present a counter argument, they managed to adapt him perfectly in the Justice League cartoon. Even
That's the
with his,
cartoon, man. Cartoons and movies is different, and you know that.
Yeah.
You can't make that comparison. We all know you can be
Especially DC
incredibly
animated
accurate in
movies.
cartoons. You
Yeah.
got a whole lot of freedoms and not the same kind of restrictions with budget, with marketing, with costumes. I mean, there's so many
Everything.
things that are different from cartoons
that's
to
also
comics.
fair.
That's
I'm
not a
just
fair
I'm
assessment
just, I'm just
or a
saying,
fair comparison.
I'm just saying, like they managed to make Darkseid feel like a deity instead of like a very strong alien in, again, Justice League Unlimited, in Young Justice, in the DC animated movie universe several times over. And the final thing that kind of bugged me, and this is less a major complaint, more of just a nitpick. So are they going to explain why Mara suddenly turned British in this movie after being American in Aquaman?
Explain who?
Didn't she have an accent in Aquaman?
No. She used her normal speaking voice in Aquaman.
I
you said
haven't
Miracle.
watched
Oh,
Aquaman
you
in
said
my. I
Miracle.
can't remember if she had an
I
accent
don't
or not.
remember.
That's a good
no,
question.
yeah,
That's a good
yeah,
question.
yeah, because
So
she
wasn't
just
Amber Heard the one that
But
was in the first one? So I
yeah,
guess
it was still
just,
Amber Heard.
I
Yeah,
guess
it
yes,
was
it
Amber
still
just
Heard
their
her.
both
voices
times.
then.
It was still her.
Yeah, I guess it was just their
Amber
voices
Heard's
then.
American, so why in this movie was she putting on a fake British accent to play
That's
Mara?
how she talks.
Technically, this was before the Aquaman movie.
Well,
so that
actually,
means she should have had an accent in the Aquaman movie. And to be honest, maybe they
I
forgot.
thought they said I thought they said the Aquaman movie takes place like in the middle of Justice League.
I guess that would make sense because he came back with the trident, right? In the second, at the
In
end,
the
and
second
his
half,
costume
yeah.
was different.
Yeah.
Maybe
No, this
it
definitely
could
before
be.
because he had the traditional green and
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
that's the thing. Like in the
So-
first movie, like in Justice
But the first
League, at first,
Aquaman wasn't even out yet when the first movie came out.
yeah, I
That's
know.
what I was saying.
We're
So
talking
technically
we're
speaking,
talking movie chronology,
before.
not we're talking movie chronology, not release chronology. Like from what they said
Yeah.
in the Aquaman release, when Aquaman was first released, the Aquaman movie takes place before and after Justice League. Like you can slot the Justice League movie in the middle of Aquaman, and it'll still, and that's how the timeline works. So I'm wondering.
That makes sense because towards the end
yeah,
he does
yeah.
have his full outfit on and he has the trident where
Mhm.
in the beginning he was giving a shit about Atlantis and whatever. So
Yeah,
I guess
and-
that would make sense.
Yeah, so that would explain because remember he mentions in the Justice League, like he's already met Mara and stuff, but he hasn't taken up the throne and stuff. They're arguing. He's like
Right.
he's rejecting
Right.
his birthright at the beginning. Then at the end, he
Right.
has all his full king stuff. So yeah, that it does make sense
Right.
for the Aquaman movie to take place like in the middle of all the Justice League stuff. So yeah,
Right.
so again, from a continuity standpoint, since Aquaman is supposed to be canon to both versions of Justice League, did she just go American accent, suddenly decide to be British for a week, and then switch back to an American accent?
Maybe being underwater does something to your voice. We don't know.
I think that was
Okay.
just some. I don't look too much into it.
Yeah,
I wouldn't even know.
I don't know if that was Amber Heard's.
I didn't even notice.
I don't know
I
if
didn't
that was-
notice it either, actually.
I don't know if that
So-
was Amber Heard's artistic choice, or if Zack Snyder was like, "Hey, can you do a British accent?" Yeah, why? Do that. I don't know how that conversation went down. I'm just saying.
That was
I
actually a
noticed the
shot. I remember there was a shot where like Batman didn't have his voice wasn't
his voice sounded modulated. I
yeah,
noticed that.
it was
he didn't
one
have his
shot.
thing, but I
Right,
noticed
he
that.
sounded like a regular old white man, you know what I'm saying, yelling at somebody at the dock or something, you know. I was
I
just
did
like, who
notice
the
that.
hell is that? That's I caught it and I was like, whoa, what the hell is
Yeah,
this?
y'all
Back,
was
just
back,
really-
back, turn it
y'all
off.
was
Hit
Battery
the button.
died, didn't it?
Hit the
Battery
button,
died in the
right?
cow. Okay.
y'all was
Hit
looking
the
at
button.
Marvel.
Where
The
Alfred?
Bluetooth
Sorry,
ain't
Alright,
working.
he forgot
Bluetooth
to
didn't
pack it.
connect.
that's all my
Right.
complaints about the movie as a movie, and that's everything I had to say about it. Like I said, other than that, I enjoyed the movie. I found it good. I don't think it was the greatest things to slice bread like some people are acting like it is, but it was a good movie. It's a good waste of 4 hours. I don't want my 4 hours back. I enjoyed it. I had fun. I will save my comments for
Right.
what Zack Snyder planned for the rest of the DCU if he has stayed on for the end of the show.
All right.
Well, I mean, we did talk about that, I think, on another one. And I mean, I think I just saw an article that came out that said the WB doesn't have any plans to continue the Snyderverse, which
Yeah,
I'm not
they're
going to
not.
lie. After seeing this movie, I'm kind of sad about it because I feel like the issue of Darkseid needs to be fucking resolved. Okay, I just need
From what
Darkseid to be resolved, but
they're still going to do
um,
Darkseid in the DCEU. It just won't be Zack Snyder's Darkseid.
yeah. So so we won't have to talk about that whole other thing that honestly
If it
didn't
ain't
make
Zack
sense if we
Snyder,
put it
it
in.
ain't the real
Ex-
Justice League. Then it ain't even the real movie. If it ain't even the real one.
All right,
I ain't gonna
Jensen,
watch it.
you're up
Right.
next. What did you like? What didn't you like?
Uh,
Things like that. So give us your
I guess I
spoilers.
must have missed it because I'm still trying to figure out how Luther knew who Batman was. I guess I must have missed it from the first movie. I don't remember him trying.
I was thinking that too.
I wish they would.
He implied he knew Batman and Superman's secret identities in BVS, but they never explained how.
Yeah,
He just knows because he knows.
Explanation, like something tilted him out when he was talking to Deathstroke. I just wanted,
Yeah.
like to say, like, I did this and I did that, and I wish I wish he wouldn't even said I know it's Bruce. I wish he would have told Deathstroke, like, I think it's Bruce Wayne, and part of your mission or whatever you finna do, I need you to find out that's legitimately him and then kill him.
I got a question. I got a question. I'm sorry,
Yes.
I got a question. Why? I guess the part about that I question, and maybe y'all can answer this for me, is why does Luther? I thought Luther was supposed to be more on Superman. Like, why is he so fixated on Batman? Like, I found that to be odd for me. Is it because that helped put him behind bars in BVS? Is that what it was?
No, it's because. Okay, do you want the in-universe reason or the out-of-universe reason?
The out-of-universe reason. Oh, out-of-universe.
Out-universe reason will confuse you, Tiffany.
No, it won't, because in-universe is all the comics and stuff, right? That'll confuse me.
Really.
I mean, out-of-universe.
No. In-universe, in the movie's universe, he is obsessed with Batman because. Okay, I'm gonna say it's because Batman punked him out in prison and threatened to brand him, and so now he's feeling some kind of way. He's in his feelings about
I forgot all about that scene.
I'm going to say that's the reason. This is just me. Making
that makes sense.
A logical.
I should have rewatched the first movie again.
I forgot he did that to him after he locked him up. I forgot.
Yeah, this is me just speculating. Like, this is not confirmed. This is my guess. Out of universe is because Batman is Zack Snyder's new Rorschach.
Oh.
Zack Snyder made the.
You think so?
Yeah.
For people that ain't watched, it's from the Watchmen. He's from the Watchmen.
Okay. All right, well, hold on, because Jensen keep going. I just had to ask. Yeah, I know who Rorschach is.
Yeah.
That's the movie I don't like.
And,
I don't care for the Watchmen.
If you remember, Zack
I
Snyder.
hated it. I did not like it. It
Zack
sucked.
Snyder
I hated
is a
it.
big fan of Rorschach.
I hated it. I'm sorry, Catherine. I did not like the Watchmen.
No,
I
watched it.
I liked the miniseries on what was that, HBO? I think it was on. But I did not like the Watchmen movie.
If you guys remember, Zack Snyder is, besides being an Ayn Rand fanboy who wants to make a Fountainhead movie, which, shoot me. He's also a big fan of Rorschach, despite the fact that the original creator Alan Moore is like, why are people fans of Rorschach? You guys do realize the entire point is Rorschach is not cool. But anyway, Zack Snyder spent most of that movie trying to make Rorschach cool, and it worked. And now and Zack Snyder became obsessed with Rorschach and tried to build him up all movies the coolest dude ever. And now he's doing the same with Batman, which is why all the villains are like obsessed with Batman, and why so much of the plot revolves around Batman doing things, and why apparently Lois Lane is going to have Batman's kid.
We don't
I don't think
listen.
it's
It's
happening,
that's
dude.
cut. We don't
That
think
was
that's
something
gonna happen. That was just an
that was
idea. We
thought
don't
of. It's
know if
not
that was
something
actually
that
gonna be
keeps.
in there. Let's not. But Jensen, go ahead. Jensen,
not
go ahead
happening,
because we're
man.
taking your time. Jensen,
Yes.
go ahead. Go ahead.
Sorry. Just every time I think about that, I get
Yeah.
annoyed again.
Yeah, and then
Right.
as I was saying, I was wondering about that. I love the scene where they show, I remember the whole time when that first scene came about when Bruce Wayne was watching that hologram in the red cape. Everybody was like, "Oh, this Manhunter, that Shazam." I'm glad we actually got to see that again when they showed Superman with the hologram and his cape floating in that hologram, because that like told Facebook for like 2 or 3 weeks. Everybody was speculating who it was, and it'll be in Superman again. But everybody thought it was like Manhunter. Some people thought it was Shazam. Some people said it was Supergirl.
I don't know why that. I don't know why she would be in it.
We wasn't going to
some
see
that's
Supergirl
because
in this universe at
well,
all.
I think
That
the
wasn't
reason why
happening.
people were speculating that Supergirl is because around the time that clip was released, they confirmed that there is a Supergirl movie in the works.
Yeah, but she wouldn't be in a Justice League movie. That would be too
Right.
soon for her.
Nah, yeah,
Right.
yeah. So they did that, which was like, okay, we see that.
Yeah.
I wish they would have. It was one scene I wish they would have showed Superman where he was in the crowd. He was reaching for him. He got cut out when he was like in a crowd and like had a whole bunch of people like reaching for him and touching him. He was walking through and everything.
Oh, right. The other Superman Jesus Christ scene.
Yes, that one. I was wondering if they was gonna show that. I figured that he's gonna let everything in the Snyder Cut. They would have showed that, but it wasn't in there. It was fine.
Oh.
I thought it'd been implied. I thought Shazam might have been implied some way. At the end, like when Bruce was thinking about putting together a team, he hears about this other super strong person that's people saying that Superman like, and he had a bunch of people, the Shazam family that was running with him with different color costumes. Eventually, I figure they all will. Eventually, we will get the whole original Justice League with Hal. Well, not original, but depending on which iteration. But Hal, Shazam, everybody else, showing up. I figured, like I said, that would have been implied. The lantern scene, the lantern since tinkled in. We saw the actual lantern that was there, and for people that know it, they was like, "Oh, this is the lantern that Hal Jordan got his ring from."
Oh, hold on, I can pronounce this name. I swear to God,
I can't pronounce his name. That's why I'm just gonna say lantern.
Tomar-Ray.
Yeah, so
I'm not even finna try that right now. And so I saw that. I was surprised at how Darkseid got beat in that fight, because we've seen what he did against like the Skyfather, like Ares and Zeus, Poseidon. We've seen how he did against people of that level before. Well, I'm sorry. In comics, we've seen how he did against people that level before, but obviously they're gonna bring it down a notch.
Well, technically, they said. Well, according to the behind-the-scenes stuff, Zack Snyder said this isn't Darkseid, it's Uxas before he got the Omega effect and became Darkseid. And I'm like, okay, that's fine to say outside the movie. The problem is inside the movie, you keep calling him Darkseid.
Right. So you're going against what you're saying, but regardless, and was Ares amped? Because with all the war and everything
that's kind
going
of how his
on,
powers work. So I would assume.
How about I thought that was Hercules? How about I thought the dude in the
I thought
long
it was
top was
Hercules,
Hercules? I was like, oh shit, they got Hercules, Atalanta, and then I saw the lightning bolt, and I was like, oh shit, that's Zeus.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, so that makes her Athena, I'm guessing,
Artemis.
or Artemis, one of the two. And then I was like, in an Aries, but then I got a little confused for a second because the top of Ares' helmet looked like Steppenwolf's head. So then I was like, well, wait, did Ares get like mutated? Like I was in my head, I was like, but I have to admit his version of Zeus
Medusa hit me up.
was a little weird.
Yeah, Medusa hit me up after the show because that's actually one of Darkseid's powers. He can take people and he can give them superpowers and he can mutate them into new people. That's actually what happened to Jasad.
Tell me something.
Go ahead,
Desai was
Gentry.
actually
Yeah.
a cool character too.
But
Yeah.
you know, I saw that and I was like, okay. And then the whole Amazon fight scene where they were playing Keep Away with the mother box
Yes.
Yeah.
from Steppenwolf, which was
Yeah.
awesome. And that's really how like seeing that and you know seeing what they like that sacrifice they did when they was like close the gates and Amazon's like, well, we're going to keep you here with us. And then everything crumbled down and the Parademons just like flew back out. And I was like, damn. I mean, I figured Steppenwolf would have got out, but not the Parademons too. But that whole what I call the keep away scene was epic, you know, seeing that, seeing how he was just, you know, said we're just popping up, causing hell and leaving, was like, yeah, you know, ain't none of that coming
I
and trying to talk.
respected that he came, did what he wanted to get, and dipped.
Yeah,
he didn't cause no extra
wasn't no
havoc.
talking,
He came,
wasn't no
got the
monologuing. He
and was
got
out.
what he needed and left.
And out.
Yeah.
Yes, no monologuing.
Even when he sent his minions, he didn't send his minions out to just destroy shit. I want you to find something specific, or find me people who know where it is and bring them home. And they listen. Nobody went rogue. You know what I'm saying? Like, I appreciated that. I don't know why, but I did.
I loved it.
It was clear. It was clear cut. He had a goal, and you knew his goal, and he didn't deviate. He was like, "Boom, we're getting the boxes, and that's it."
Don't be dumb.
Right, exactly.
Don't get caught no plot armor.
Right.
I hate to say it, and like I physically hate to say it, but Steppenwolf may actually be more competent in this movie than he is in the comics. Not stronger, not more powerful, but more competent.
Yeah, whatever.
Maybe. All right,
but
I wouldn't go that far.
Yeah, and then Ray Fisher got did so wrong.
Yeah.
You know, he got did. I need his barber, by the way. I need his barber. I need his barber's
clean.
No,
that was clean.
No disrespect to my barber. I'm just being funny. But you know, seeing him, you know, seeing how the anger towards his pops.
Yeah.
You know, what happened with his mom. Like he saw both his parents. What made me mad, he just saw his dad kill himself to try and save the mother box. Then they're like, hey, yeah, we got some stuff to do. They need the mans didn't even get like 5 minutes of grievance. Even though he turned around and was like, oh yeah, he did this because if you heat it up and then it'll get us off this heat signature, which we could find later. I got that, but dang man, he you know,
the world is ending. You ain't got time to grieve just yet. You know what I'm saying?
Man,
you got
like
he
didn't get like 5 minutes.
well, I mean, technically, when they left him alone, they did give him a moment to himself, and he chose to fix the aircraft carrier thing, the ship. He was fixing it. Maybe that was his little grief process. Was like that. They gave him.
Well, I mean, him and his pops relationship was rocky anyway. So he probably didn't even grieve. Him and pops.
No, but what you mentioned was I appreciate about the film is that they really showed like him being like they showed they showed Cyborg. They showed his problem with his dad, which he did have that shit toward his father for a long time. You know what I'm saying? Like being mad that, you know, and you saw literally a teenager because, okay, so I'll tell you this. I didn't know Cyborg was from Gotham. I had no idea he was from Gotham. I don't read comics. I didn't know that. For anybody out there, because he played for Gotham High School, Gotham University, whatever that full time GCU.
Yeah,
I thought he was a high school student, but they're making it seem like it was either a college or maybe an academy that he went to or whatever. But I didn't know that Victor Stone was from Gotham, so I learned something new watching the movie. But you know, you get to see the kid who just wanted his dad to come to a football game. You know what I'm saying? Who just wanted he wanted to know that his dad cared, and you know, his dad was always busy and all that, and that just built up a little resentment. So when he lost his mom and then, you know, found out that his dad was the one who turned him into Cyborg, like you really got to see a lot of that emotion in that story that we really didn't get in the first movie. So I
I mean,
appreciated that this time.
Well,
around.
would you really be? Honestly, I wasn't too upset about his dad trying to save his son because they already said he was dead or he's
Yeah,
died.
I didn't. Yeah, I was.
So I'm not
yeah.
even that upset. But honestly, I won't know. I won't know what else for him to do to save Cyborg. Look. I mean, consider the Wakanda. Lex Luthor shit. Come on, let's be for real. Let's be for real. Mr. Terrific. We
Ladies
talk
and
about how they
gentlemen.
got him going to DC. Mr. Terrific.
Oh my God.
Talk about him.
Oh my
We're
God.
not
Don't
going
even
to talk
go.
about him, Terrence.
Uh,
We're going. We're not going to
So
talk
what?
about him.
So what were the things you didn't like, Jensen? What were some things? Were there anything you
Those are
didn't
two
like?
things I didn't like. I didn't like that goofy ass Flash run. They didn't fix it.
Oh,
yeah, they somehow made the Flash run worse. I don't
I
understand
didn't like
why.
that. I didn't like how, Luther. They didn't even imply how Luther figured out Batman. They didn't imply that. They didn't imply that either. Nothing. And a little gripe. It's not major like those. Oh, and then shout out to the Joker. Shout out to the Joker. I loved him.
that was actually a good depiction. I actually did like it.
Yeah, shout out to
I actually
that,
did.
And then after this, I'm
Jared
done.
Leto.
I did.
Yeah.
And then after this, I'm done. I'm sorry. I like the last Joker more than him. Let's be real. And
Joaquin Phoenix.
That's for a different topic. It's for a different topic. I'm gonna throw that out there because you're gonna get going off the topic.
Okay.
And so a slight gripe was how they was talking in the bubbles underwater. Sometimes.
Yeah, because aren't they supposed to be able to talk through like regular? Because like in Aquaman movie, they were talking regular. They didn't need to be in air to have a conversation. I noticed that too.
Yeah, that and was those part the only three gripes.
I noticed that too.
Three gripes I had, and that's pretty much my take really on everything else.
Okay. I'm gonna do mine because Jerry, we saving you for last, okay? Because you the hype man on this one. We saving you for last. Yeah, we saving you for last. So I'm gonna do mine or whatever. Hopefully not take too long because we already at an hour.
Sure.
So I talked about this already in my intro to the thing. I really appreciated the whole depiction of Diana and the Amazons in this movie. I just feel like it's just miles above what it was in the first one. And we kind of talked about this before we actually started recording. I think the minute that I knew that I was going to be in this movie, like I was going to be into it, was Wonder Woman's scene in the bank in the beginning part of the movie. When they showed her, like literally when she busted in that room and she saw that she had like 7 to 10 she had about 10 seconds to clear that room out and get the bomb out.
I'm sorry.
And the way she went in, and I mean the way she was punching dudes up against the wall, like with no hesitation. She deflected bullets real fast, and then she flung the thing in the air, jumped back down in time to bounce another bullet right off of her bracelets. And then he was literally lining them up with a machine gun, and she was just like sliding and blocking at the same time. And then did her move, and all you saw was a hat float out the building. I was like, oh shit, okay, I'm in. And I started I set up at that point because that's what I knew I was going to be all into this movie.
I got my own self-hype telling that story.
I really appreciated the fact that I just felt like she was given necessary light in this one because she was really diminished, in my opinion, in the Whedon version. And it was just really well done. So, there was that. We talked about it before. I like the fact that they gave kind of everybody's storylines, you know what I'm saying, in this one, as well as, but it didn't take away from the whole film. You know what I'm saying? It's not like they focused so much on these individual storylines that it lost the complexity of the plot as a whole. And I appreciated that about the movie because it wasn't too much, but it also wasn't too little. I liked the fact, I have to admit, I don't understand Steppenwolf's outfit either, or whatever. But as somebody who doesn't read the comics, I ain't really had nothing to compare it to. So I was just like, oh, okay, he's just like really shiny, and you know what I'm saying, and that's just kind of what it was. I like the fact that I love the fact that the Manhunter was in it. As somebody who's been wanting to see that man on the big screen for the longest time, I appreciated that even though it was like 2 seconds, okay, with the scene with Lois and the scene at the end. I have to admit, I didn't think he was going to tell Bruce that he's known as Martian the Manhunter. I thought he was going to be known, tell him John, because that's really kind of how he introduces himself to most people. So I thought that was interesting. But the fact that they were able to conceal this from being released in trailers, like there was no trailer that showed the Manhunter was in this movie. None. There was nobody from the set. You know what I'm saying? There was no leaked pictures. You know what I'm saying? Like there was no order. Like there was nobody who talked about that the Manhunter shows up. So the fact that we actually had a real surprise was refreshing, and I appreciate it because I've been wanting to see this man on the big screen. And then to see who he was, like we talked about, if he's the general, then technically he's kind of been around for some of this shit, you know what I'm saying? Watching stuff happen, maybe did a couple of things, you know, on his own. We don't know what role he played or whatever, but obviously he's been around everything because, you know, he was the general. So it'll be, well, I can't say it'll be interesting to see what he does later because we may not get him again or whatever, but for the parts and the moments that he was in the film, I thought that was amazing. And again, the fact that they were able to conceal that was good. I appreciated the fact that Steppenwolf's motivation was he was wanting to get back in the good graces of the dark side. He fucked up, whatever the fuck up was. Okay, he fucked up, and he was trying to make it up. Okay, and whatever. So I was like, okay, simple. It was a simple, like, you know, he wasn't really trying to take over the galaxy. He was trying to get back in the court. You know what I'm saying? Like, he was like a goon trying to murder some people, you know what I'm saying, to get back in with the boss. You know what I'm saying? And I appreciated that his motivations was simple. You know what I'm saying? And whatever. I think sometimes villains, they get these overcomplicated, you know what I'm saying, things. And that's what we talked about. Like Steppenwolf had a goal. He wanted the mother boxes, or people who knew where the mother boxes was, create the triumvirate, get Darkseid to the planet. Let's do this thing. You know what I'm saying? I appreciated that it was simple, clean, and you know what I'm saying? And that was it. I liked the film. I just thought it was miles above the original. Like I said, I don't think it was like the best, you know, comic movie ever, the most fantastic thing ever, but it was just miles above Whedon's. Like I wasn't confused by Batman's dream sequence. You know what I'm saying? Like that shit actually made sense to me. You know what I'm saying? And the fact that they didn't interject it weirdly in the middle of the movie, like it was at the very end. And when Bruce wakes up and it's like, oh, okay, this is what he means. Like if something ever happens to Lois, Superman might be a problem, you know what I'm saying? And whatever. And it's another reason as to why Lois is important, and making sure she stays in play is important, and all this other kind of thing. And I hear what you're saying, Terry, about her significance. And I guess I look at it the same way I look at Diana's relationship with Steve Trevor. Like in the movies, Steve and in the comics, Steve Trevor is Diana's greatest love ever. You know what I'm saying? Regardless of who she gets with, she's always in love. She's forever in love with Steve Trevor. And I guess that's how I look at Lois and Superman. And maybe that's why so much weight is put on Lois, because she is Superman's first love ever. You know, in the same way that Steve Trevor was Diana's. And regardless of who they get with, they always remember, and they always, you know, miss that person, because, you know, they're not like Batman. You know, Batman's a hoe. We all know that, okay? You know what I'm saying? I think, yes. I don't know if Barry Allen ever was with somebody besides Iris. I'm not sure. But for how old Diana is, because I mean, we learned in this movie she's freaking 5,000 years old.
5,000 years old.
And she's only been in love with one man. You know what I'm saying? And whatever. So like and then again with Superman, he's an alien. You know, there are a lot of people who are afraid of him, but Lois is the first person that he feels like he truly connects with. And that's what makes their relationship so super strong, which is why if something happens to her, they're going to have to figure it out. You know, that kind of thing. I guess that's why I get from it, because I can see that dynamic, but I get what you're saying. I just want that in there. Things I didn't like. We all know Ezra Miller, fucking hate him, okay? I don't care that they gave him more of a story and more of importance to the plot. I hate Ezra, okay? I hate his portrayal of Barry Allen. I hate his fucking run. You know what I'm saying? It's like this dude doesn't know how to stop. he kept like sliding and running in the walls, and I was like, "You trying to tell me how long you've been doing this? You don't know how to stop?" You know what I'm saying? Like I can't stand it. I don't like it. Okay, and whatever. But I did appreciate that they allowed his intelligence to show in this movie. Like when things were talking and Cyborg was talking about reactions and energies and all that other kind of stuff, Barry knew exactly what he was talking about. And I did appreciate that they showed that because they didn't really show that in the first movie. So you got a taste of Barry's intelligence in this movie that you didn't get. So I'll give him that. And I did like at the end when he realizes he's got to break the rule of time travel and he's got to go back in time to touch Cyborg at the right time to trigger that push into the mother box. I did like the fact that he was literally like rebuilding the world while he was traveling back through time. I enjoyed like that whole sequence and things like that. Other than that, fuck Ezra Miller. I can't stand that dude. Okay, he's just out of here. I can't stand Jesse Eisenberg as Lex. So anything to do with Jesse Eisenberg as
Yeah, I
Lex,
don't like
get
that.
that shit out of here. I hate him as
scene.
Lex. Okay, how the hell he busts out of Arkham? It's like they got cameras. You know what I'm saying? It's like
everybody gets out of Arkham. It's not.
But the security guard's looking directly at his door. It's like 5 feet. There's only one exit in and one exit out. Like what the? You know what I'm saying?
He probably got half
whatever.
He probably got
yeah, that's true. No, that's true. Honestly, Arkham is like they might as well just tear that shit down and figure something else out. It don't even have no use for real. Because you're right about that. And the other thing that I didn't understand, besides some of the things y'all talked about, like Mira's accent, the fact that people in Atlantis had to fucking talk in oxygen, okay, which was weird, okay, did Darkseid get his ass whooped so bad that he forgot where the anti-life equation was on Earth? Because when Steppenwolf found it, Darkseid was like, "Oh, you found it? Hold on, my dude, because didn't you know where it was? You found it first." So, did Darkseid forget where the anti-life equation was? Like, did he forget it was Earth? Because Earth was the only planet that whooped his ass. You don't forget what planet whooped your ass, okay? So, I get that the mother boxes kind of led him a little bit. So I get maybe it took him a while to get back. But did he forget that the Earth is where it was?
The way they imply it in the movie, it's implied that he had just shown up and started fighting. He hadn't gotten the name of the planet yet before the war started. So when he left, he was like, "Oh crap, what's the name of that planet?"
Oh, is that what it was? Because I was like, "Well, you landed first. Don't you know where you at?"
Which
that
actually makes him look worse than if he just took an L. Because that means he's just such a sloppy invader. He didn't even get the name of the place he was invading before he started fighting.
He was just showing up wrecking shit. He didn't even care. And like Terrence said,
okay, that's
so
valid.
Bad, he didn't even know. He was getting beat so bad he didn't even bother to learn the name of it, like Terrence said.
Okay, then that's bad. That makes me feel better because I was sitting up here and I was like, you should know because this is like even if you landed and you didn't look at your star maps and whatever to figure out where the fuck that was, but on your way out you ain't say, "Hey, minion, mark that planet, because we coming back." You know what I'm saying? When I get some band-aids and I get this shit like wrapped up, like you just
they probably marked it off the whole roster because they had Superman up there. They probably just marked it off the whole list. They didn't even,
or maybe he hit like warp speed and just left and didn't pay attention to where the fuck he was coming from.
You can go to any other planet, just don't go to that one right there. That one.
Thank you for reminding me. That also bugged me. Thank you for reminding me. I completely forgot about that. But I'm gonna wait.
That was my other thing where I legit was questioning, like, well, wait a minute, what do you mean stepping? Oh, you found, but you should know, like, this is the planet that kicked your ass. You don't remember where you got your ass whooped. You seem like the kind of dude that would know who whooped your ass just because you got a bone, like you got a score to settle. You know what I'm saying?
He took his L, man. He took his L.
He took his
L. Was like
tag all y'all tonight.
You should know which planet whooped your ass. That's something you should know.
That's
okay,
definitely
or
a snack I'm
whatever.
making tonight when I get off.
But
Yeah.
so those were the things that I didn't like. But other than that, for anybody who's seen my status and whatever, I have to admit I did give this movie a 9, simply because it gave me everything that I honestly wanted in a Justice League movie. It's just a shame that this is technically a second release, I guess, if you will. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Because now we won't get the other movies that we should be getting. You know what I'm saying, in this universe. You know what I'm saying? I mean, Darkseid is still out there. The Manhunter has shown himself. You know what I'm saying, and whatever. And we now have all these. We didn't have Shazam since then. We're getting Black Adam soon. I mean, the next Justice League, as we saw, Alfred and Batman was picking out what I think is about to be the halls of justice.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because they talked about a table and with 6 chairs, and somebody said and more. With more added on. So we know it's coming to maybe Justice League Unlimited with other heroes being introduced, and it's just a shame that we won't get to see it extended, at least maybe with this vision. I'll say that. Maybe Abrams has an idea. I don't know, but I do feel like the movie could have been a great first Justice League movie if this would have came out instead of, you know what I'm saying, Whedon. So I gave it a 9.
I think that's implied with the table because of all the other Justice Society members coming in Black Adam.
Yeah.
I think that's probably why. I think, outside of, Hal coming and Shazam, I think the Justice Society members that's showing up, and Shazam's family, and the Shazam family.
Actually,
the Shazam family, yep.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing I forgot to mention. It was nice to see a Green Lantern in action.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it was cool to see,
exactly.
even though he ended up getting his hand.
It don't even matter. I was more
it don't even matter. It was the
interaction.
fact that it was the fact that we got to see that brief thing that the war was so big, that we got to see Green Lantern and the gods of Olympus and things like that. It was nice to see those elements because obviously, again, now it introduces the Green Lantern Corps in a way. You know what I'm saying? And whatever. And I think even in the tomb where Diana was, it showed when it was showing different heroes and different factions, there was a Green Lantern ring in one of those picture depictions down in it. So it lets you know that they're out there, and it gives you a brief introduction to the Green Lantern Corps, which means it can introduce more Green Lanterns. So I, so that was mine. Those were all my favorite things and all the things I hate. I won't miss Ezra Miller. I don't want to see him as the Flash again. I'm just throwing that out there because I feel like we don't talk about it enough. I need to make sure
you haven't already said it.
Like
you already haven't said it 50 times.
He does not need to be the Flash ever again. Like I couldn't stand his jitteriness and the stuttering, and I couldn't stand anyway. 9 out of 10. That's my thing.